The Streets of Rage series is synonymous within the beat-em-up genre that itself, alongside of even Final Fight, pretty much set the standard for all beat-em-ups to follow. And we would see how good the original games were on the Sega Mega Drive, and even when the arcades on the Super Nintendo with both Final Fight and Streets of Rage, showcasing unique dynamics, gameplay, moves and visual detail that was exceptional and on another level altogether for its time. Streets of Rage initially would receive 3 entries in the series on the Mega Drive itself, but would go dormant not long after, with many wondering if there would ever be a sequel or even a series revival. But it would take almost 20 years for that to happen. While there was many ideas and concepts that were brought to light, they never really came to anything. But it wasn't until a small development company, pretty much made up of fans of all of these older games, they got together and decided to pitch an idea to Sega to revitalise the series, as they had done previous work on remastering or remaking Wonder Boy 3 The Dragon's Trap, which ended up being quite successful, bringing it into the modern landscape of games, but while also allowing you to play with the old additional Master System visuals as well. They even did the same with Alex Kidd in Miracle World. So when they pitched to Sega about a new idea for either a remake or a sequel, it was given the green light and it went from there. So from that point, Streets of Rage 4 was born, and the premise of the story would take place a number of years after the events of the third game in the series, with the rise of a new syndicate, which in turn would result in the children of Mr. X, the main antagonists from the original games. His children would become the forefront in invoking chaos upon the city once again, which would result in the 3 initial characters from the beginning of the series returning for another battle, along with the help of some other members. But you can also get to play as additional characters from within the series as well. And what's unique to this story as you progress through it is that you'll be able to unlock variations of all of the previous characters that you would have been able to use in all of the original 3 games, all in their digitized sprite formats, which is really cool. Even the move sets, the special moves, the combos, everything is there in full detail, but everything plays a lot faster compared to that of the original games. While this version of Streets of Rage 4 does move away from the pixelated aesthetics in the previous entries, the level of detail here does pay homage to the classic elements seen in those earlier games, but just with a modern coat of paint, if you will. But the fact is that you can unlock all of those old characters and mix the 2 visual types into the same category does a good job. It doesn't feel out of place. If anything, it adds a lot more context and playability to the game. But I have to say, the level of detail here, like for a 2D side-scrolling beat-em-up, is nothing short of stunning. The developers here done an excellent job putting all these pieces together. Even with the music, they were comprised of a load of different artists to get together to create their own unique soundtracks, even with the help of the main series soundtrack creator Yuzo Koshiro among the mix, adding in his own tasteful tracks to add to the experience. I will say though, however, like the previous games in the series, even more so with the third game, this is very tough. You do have the ability to play in single player but also multiplayer modes, but you also have additional aspects by being able to play online. But this time around, instead of just having access to playing 2 players, you can have 4 players on the screen at one time. So you can either play with a group of your mates online, or you can play like 4-player split screen pretty much on the go if you have 4 controllers to hand. So there's no excuse to start beating the crap out of everything with all your mates. It's a lot of fun, but yeah, it's very tricky, very tough, but it is very cool. If we compare it to the previous games in the series, yes, visually there's a lot more detail at hand. And if you look at it compared to even the third entry in the series, Streets of Rage 3, which that was considered like the dark horse of the franchise, but it's still a very good solid game all around, and the best in the series, I think, even still to this day, while many would debate it, would be Streets of Rage 2. But Streets of Rage 4 does a really good job by being able to capitalise on the success of the series, staying true to its roots but also adding in more new elements. There's so much more interactivity with the levels as well, with hidden areas to explore, being able to even also find hidden features that allow you to play and revisit some previous levels from the original games, even by fighting bosses and so forth. There's a lot of cool elements in here, and it will take quite a few attempts and playthroughs to try and unlock everything. And then even coupled with the additional DLC, the Mr. X Nightmare also adds to the longevity, because it also has additional characters that aren't in the main base game. And this would see Streets of Rage 4 also being added to pretty much every known console format currently in development or in production, mainly with the likes of the PlayStation 4, the Xbox, even the Nintendo Switch. While the game was often being sold mainly in digital formats. There would be some limited edition physical copies being made available for both the Switch and the PlayStation that you could get access to if you were a collector, which I think would have been really, really cool. Like for me personally, when I heard that this game was being brought out, I was so excited to get back into playing a new edition of the series, because I still go back and play all of the previous games on a regular basis, more so Streets of Rage 2. I have covered all of those games in previous videos, there'll be links in the description. They're all excellent titles. Streets of Rage 2 is my favourite in the series, and it's my favourite beat 'em up of all time, and I still consider it to be the best beat 'em up of all time. Now many would differ on that opinion, because it has been said that Streets of Rage 4 is now the current best one in the entire genre, and I would agree with that, but I think for nostalgic reasons, for me, nothing beats 2, especially when it comes to its soundtrack. While the soundtrack is very, very good here in this game, I still think it falls short of the greatness of Streets of Rage 2. But it's not to say that it's a bad thing. If you're a fan of the series, it's definitely worth trying out. It's very memorable. It came out at a good time. I think it was long overdue. Fans were desperate for more of this, and we actually got it, even though we have had lots of other beat 'em ups over the years on the likes of other consoles, with 3D beat 'em ups with the PlayStation 2, PS3, even with other modern systems. And while there are some really good beat 'em ups that were out there, a lot of the ones that tried to replicate the standard that Streets of Rage set really fell short. So it was great to see pretty much the best in the industry come back and do its thing, and it's still as good as ever. And considering, like, even as of recording this video, this game is pretty much 5 years old now, and it still looks like a brand new game that's only been out only a few months. Just like I said, the level of detail here, it just stands out way beyond anything else that's currently out there. When you get to explore all of the different environments, from derelict, rundown streets to business buildings, bars, nightclubs, all of the usual kind of suspects that you would have seen even in previous games, they do somehow make a return here, but just in a different format. The boss fights are also very cool as well, and the fact is that you can combine loads of different moves and unlock even additional combos as well to build up your combo scores as well, also adds to that appeal. Only the most skilled of fighters will be able to really take advantage of that, but even for casual players alike, this is still a lot of fun. And like I said, the best way to play this game really is playing with a group of your friends. Like when we look at it, since the previous games in the series, Streets of Rage 4 you could say is the best beat 'em up of the last 20 years, hands down. And of all the modern beat 'em ups that we've seen in the last 10 years, this is hands down the best one. It's an awesome game. If you haven't played this already, you do need to play it. But it's an interesting comparison, because if you've grown up like myself playing all of the original 3 games in the series, and you go to play this one, it's more of the same, but at the same time it is different. But the fact is that there's so much familiarity with the characters and even the storylines, because everything is intertwined and does relate to each other, so it does make it a lot more approachable for fans. Yeah, it's a very, very cool game. The developers did a fantastic job here with trying to modernise the series, but also staying true to its roots. And if anything, this is the way beat 'em ups should always be, and it's definitely apparent here. It mixes old with new, and it's done very, very well. So much in a way that the game did receive quite a number of awards and was nominated for Game of the Year when it did release in the year 2020. So that will give you an idea as to how good it really is. But it also proves a point as well, that you don't always need to have super high-end graphics or all the latest kind of gadgets or tech. There's something about this game that just appeals to simplicity. You don't always need to have the newest ideas or concepts to be successful. Sometimes people just like to have something that's just simple to pick up and play, but yet challenging, but that offers enough appeal to keep you hooked for quite a period of time. And you don't always need complex gameplay scenarios or controls in order to make it appealing. Sometimes just simple is better, and this does that. While there has been news over recent times of Sega revisiting a lot of these older franchises, and we have seen some short videos or screenshots of a new addition into the Streets of Rage series, but that is going into full 3D. Now that will be interesting, but I would also be curious to see how fans would react to the total changes in the dynamics from 2D to 3D. I still think it'd be very, very cool, but I still think that the 2D aesthetics that we have here and even in the previous games still have their place. But I suppose we just have to wait to find out. Still, Streets of Rage franchise, even like Final Fight, did set the standard for so many beat 'em ups to come to life, and they are definitely worth visiting, which we can do so in this next video.